white Christian nationalism in this report, what we're talking about is it's an anti-democratic political movement that is specifically rooted in racial and religious nationalism. And this movement that's taking place in the United States is part of a larger rise in authoritarianism that's happening all across the globe. And it is in fact having an influence on what's happening here, but there are also some very particular manifestations that make US-based white Christian nationalism have some features that we want to be paying attention to. And this political movement uses, I would say, hijacks Christian theological frameworks in order to perpetuate Christian supremacy, white supremacy, and very rigid and patriarchal definitions of gender and family. So the goals of this political movement are ultimately to maintain and reinforce and never let go of power and control for white Christians in the United States. And there's a series of tenets that kind of uphold this political philosophy. I'll just name a few. One of them is the mythology of American exceptionalism, that, quote, real Americans are descendants of white Europeans, that there is a justified use of violence to protect the nation from others, who they, of course, are the ones who get to define who others are, the erasure of the separation between church and state, and the maintenance of particular economic systems to maintain wealth and ongoing resource hoarding for a very subset of white Christians. And this set of tenets then creates a very comprehensive worldview that then allows more and more beliefs to continue to make that worldview manifest in the world. So a few of those beliefs are this idea that the United States should be governed through the lens of Christian values. Of course, they're defining what, I think their definition of what Christian values would be are very different than what Rev Liz would be describing as Christian values. There's a very strong correlation, I never get that word right, between this belief system and very explicit anti-Black, anti-Indigenous, anti-immigrant, anti-Semitic, and anti-Muslim beliefs. And really importantly, I think for us, is there is a very entrenched belief that white Christians are in fact the ones who are victims in this moment. There's a profound stance of grievance, and it's in many ways that this grievance and victimhood stance is why something like the Great Replacement theory, a conspiracy that is describing waves and waves of Black and brown immigrants overtaking the United States, that's being masterminded by globalist, internationalist Jewish cabals, or a cabal, not multiple cabals, just one, George Soros. But that this is this set of beliefs is fundamental to how we build an opposition. And so when we're thinking about how we are imagining what this opposition, who they are and what they stand for, these are some of the things that we want to keep in mind as we're shaping our own move to offense. And I would say the last thing that feels really important is that, you know, white Christian nationalism in many ways, as Marie said, is absolutely linked to the foundation and formation of this country. It is as old as this country has been. It's embedded, and at the same time there is something modern, and it is because of the demographic shift that's happening where white Christians are no longer a majority, that they have now chosen to move aggressively to replace democracy, let alone representative democracy, but to replace democracy with an authoritarian mechanism as the formal method to retain minority power. And that through doing this, it allows them to not only define and create revisionist history, but ultimately this is a fight on who we are becoming as a country. Who is American? What is the United States? Who belongs? And who gets to decide?